Good morning, and I must just say it's fantastic to be sponsoring this event, and I was just saying to Tom earlier, I'm really happy that I remembered to put trousers on today and I'm not actually just sitting at my desk on Zoom. So trousers, fantastic, it's all going really well. So that's me. If you want to scan me, connect with me that way, but even better, if you head on upstairs during the break, my colleagues will be delighted to talk to you about some of the things that we've been working on, which will do a couple of things. So I wanted to take 15 minutes of your time, I'm joking, 5 minutes, just to give you a quick overview of some of the things that we've been doing and some of the things that our customers have been doing that have, I think, helped us move the game on slightly. So the first thing I want to introduce you to is something we call the LiveU ecosystem. And we introduced this at NAB, and there are many ecosystems out there. So why the LiveU ecosystem and what's it all about? It's a set of solutions based on something that we invented 16 years ago. And it all started as our founders wandered past a row of very shiny, very complex, and very expensive satellite trucks sitting outside what you and I would call a football match, but you might say a soccer game if you really wanted to. And the conversation that they had was really, why are they there? And they were there to bring fans who couldn't be at the game closer to the action. But they were hugely complex, they were hugely expensive, and their eco-footprint was huge. We thought, hang on, we've all got mobile phones, there must be a better way. That gave rise to the thing that you all know and love as the backpack, the cellular, the IP video over bonded cellular encoder. And fast forward 16 years, and that concept of looking at things and thinking, how can we do things slightly differently? How can we do things so that we do these two things that we... One fast, no, too fast. We had two things, and now I've lost the slide. Those two things are, how can we shorten workflows and how can we add efficiency? So those concepts, shortening workflows, what do I mean? If you can remove an extraneous hop in transcoding, if you can get rid of that, if you can shorten a workflow, can you produce more content? If you can add efficiency, cut out wastage, can you produce more content? They're the guiding principles of the thing we call the LiveU ecosystem. Now, totally broken it. There we go. So, if it's an ecosystem, it needs to have a set of benefits. And yes, quality is a given, so quality, 5 nines, uptime, and all that sort of good stuff. But it also has to add something to the quality of production. So with the LU800, our flagship encoder, we add things like multi-camera device. And in fact, the LU800 has just gone through our version 10 software upgrade, which is, of course, free. It's a free upgrade for people who use those units. And it does some interesting stuff like 4Cam Synth, so it's 4K, it's 1060p or 60p, which is fantastic. But it also adds things like an additional Wi-Fi modem to give you even more resilience in your linkage. So one unit supports 4 cameras and 70 megabits per second. You really can go into the field and set your storage free. So quality becomes really key. But then so does this concept of adaptability. And we talk a lot about, is it cloud, is it on-prem, is it SDI, is it NDI? And it's never really a polarized discussion. Of course, it's about using the right solution at the right time for the right job. So the ecosystem is built on adaptability. Because ultimately we need to be able to drive efficiency, and we are obviously a firm believer that IP video is a great way of doing that. But we're of course an LRT house. The lifeblood of the ecosystem is LRT. But we're IP positive. So that means that we're open to all IP standards. So if we look at Matrix, which is our, let's call it a cloud-based distribution system, effectively Matrix enables you to distribute your content and monetize it across over 5,000 endpoints. It's the largest private video distribution system in the world. And it now will accept natively SRT as well as LRT. And the idea is to add more and more because we want to become IP positive, the universal receiver of IP video, if you will. Dynamic hybridity, which is a marketing phrase that we kind of created, which really is to say you don't need to sit in on-prem, it's not about cloud, it's not about on-prem, it's about a hybrid approach, it's about the right approach for you. But the trick being that you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time you change your deployment methodology. You can reuse. And it's an ecosystem, so it needs to be interconnected. Display are outside as well, they're part of our ecosystem, and I'm glad to say that AWS are also part of our ecosystem, which is handy because over at NAB we did some trialling with something called private 5G, and we used our LiveU units to connect to the AWS ecosystem over 5G, and basically were a wonderful way of getting a remote camera from ground to cloud in low latency and high quality. And there's some events happening this weekend, I'm told, in the UK, which may or may not be using things like 5G slicing, of course, which folk up in Coventry have been working hard on. So there's a lot of innovation in the space. I'm now officially out of time, so I'm going to go really, really quickly and talk to you about two things, because we're talking about digital and how to engage fans. So LiveU has just announced its LiveU Studio, which is a cloud-native live production solution, has all the things you would expect. One thing you wouldn't, it's LRT native. So you can connect for the first time your unit to the cloud, get your story from wherever it is to over or up to 30 digital distribution points at a single click of a button. And the key point there is that you can use your already deployed infrastructure, your backpacks if you will, reuse them after your primary feed and go direct to your digital channels. So you really can produce more for less. And then finally we have the on-site production system, which is just amazing. If you've ever been hassled by talking to venue managers about opening ports, if you've ever been worried about line of sight RF communications for your on-site cameras or running cables across roads, we have solved it. So you can cut your setup time by nearly 90%. Come and talk to us about that, it's pretty cool. But the coolest thing I think about the LiveU ecosystem is that it, yes, shortens workflows, yes, it adds efficiency. But what's it really doing? Yes, it's helping you produce more for less, but it's helping you reduce wastage. And I believe that every pound of wastage is almost equivalent to wasted CO2. So by using things like REMI, by using things like on-site, by using bonded cellular rather than cable or other infrastructure needs, you can reduce our industry's impact on the environment. Thank you.